today we're going to be talking about what does it mean to let God shape you. So you may be asking yourself, what is this cat talking about? What is this guy talking about? What is this Matt Monkey talking about? Letting God shape you. Don't I got to put in work to get shaped? Don't I got to go to the gym or Planet Fitness to get shaped? Yes, necessarily you do, but there's another way that you can go about that, because understanding how the transits work and understanding astrology and understanding the concept of as above so below, this can kind of help you better understand how those two realms are connected and how those two realms work in synchronicity, and understanding how our mind as above works in synchronicity with our body as below. When that light and information and density condenses on itself and becomes our blood flow, our adrenaline, our plasma, and our organs, this can kind of help you correlate and start to calculate and correspond more of your true spiritual natures, so that you can be in so that you can be more connected with the universal law and order, so you can be resonating more with the true spiritual state of being, how the universe is operating, and understanding that mechanism can kind of help you develop a better way of going about, discipline yourselves and having more discipline down here once those natures entwine with these natures down here. So being able to construct those types of disciplines, being able to construct those types of natures, can help you start to take better actions when it comes to the things that you are aware of in the one, two, and third dimension. So the better you can become more aware and have more control and authority over your fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensional vehicles and vessels and minds, then those are going to be bending in and becoming our blood flow. But first, you got to understand how that realm is kind of playing a part and how that realm is moving. Because keep in mind that when it comes to you being a spirit, your space, your nothingness, this is your shapeless, formless, non-flammable gas, odorless gas. So it's always taking a shape and form, and that shape and form that it's trying to take is an awareness, a vehicle, a mind that we create to mimic that space of nothingness. So when it comes to us better understanding our mind, us better understanding how to go outside and observe the sun positions, the sun and moon positions, and the transitions and the fusion, friction, and pressure, and the different spaces and distances and position that it's making, that determines and put us in a certain temperament that creates external temperature. So this is going to be producing the results that we are aware of when it comes to us being in a certain space and developing thoughts and feelings, Adams and Eve's cloths, to kind of represent or give shelter or security or sustainability to our space of nothingness, because we don't like to be naked as a spirit for long periods of time, because that taps us back into the energy of, once we first became aware, having a point of reference for the first time, seventh, eighth, and ninth dimension, becoming aware for the first time, that space where God resides, the space of all possibility that we separated from to kind of experience our own world, our own space, our own solo spirit, our soul. Once we kind of separated from that reality, once we kind of separated from that, we kind of wanted to have our own space, our own world, our own mind. So that mind that we created for ourselves, that's separate from God, that we all created, teamwork makes the dream work. So we're all experiencing these things on the simultaneous basis when it comes to us going through these cycles and us going through these levels of lives and us going through all these experiences of carnation, incarnation, reincarnation. So we're all doing the same thing. It's just the better that you know what you're doing, you'll know a better way how to go about what you're doing. So when it comes to changing your mind, this is also going to be, having to deal with you changing your actual spiritual space. Because the better that you can change your actual spiritual space, then the better that you'll be able to redirect your mind into a different area that's more resonated and that's more closer to the location of, all possibilities, or that's more closer to the location of something that's going to be prosperous and not something that deals with limitations and boundaries and restrictions. So just understanding astrology and understanding the four cycles, the four seasons, and how the planets are aligning and how the moon phases is aligning with all the other planets, this can kind of help you build a sufficient spaceship to be able to withstand and withdraw these astral travels that we're going through, that we are just experiencing the after effect when it comes to what we are being aware of in the one, two, and third dimension. So learning how to kind of move in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, our mind, purgatory, the dream world, this can kind of help us have better understanding and be a little bit more clairvoyant and be a little bit more precise when making our decisions when it comes to the actions that we're taking in the one, two, and third dimension. And this is how you can utilize that mechanism to kind of shape and carve out your experiences that you're experiencing in the one, two, and third dimension. And you don't have to actually go to the gym or Planet Fitness 24/7 on a 24/7 basis, because what's happening is that you are putting yourself in this state of being in this space in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension that correlates more with your true spiritual state of being. And when it comes to this correlated more with your true spiritual state of being, this can kind of help you kind of understand and gravitate towards energies or experiences or work or walk through stargates or portals that deals more with things that resonates with you, that gets you in a good mood, that help you raise your vibration and your frequency. Because once you start to give that frequency of vibration, once you start to give that thought, once you start to get that thought, a feeling, an image, it starts to vibrate, and this becomes your experience. And what you give life to, that bends in and become actual matter. So what you make matter in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension actually becomes matter. So if you're making things that deals with depression, if you're making things that deals with isolation, if you're making things that deals with, being lost, or if you're making things that deals with things that's not healthy spiritually matter, then that's what's going to become actual matter. And these characters and natures is going to be planned out through your physical body. So you may gravitate to things that kind of fulfill this space. You may gravitate more towards things in the one, two, and third dimension that kinds to fulfill this, fulfill this energy of lacking, fulfill this energy of wanting to be depressed, fulfill this energy of wanting to be flunked out or lost into the sauce. But if you're kind of creating and carving out your space around things that deals with uplifting spirits, being more high vibration and wanting to be healthy. So we back alive, we back alive. So what it means to, just letting God shape you is just like just going outside and experiencing. But you can't be so lost into biases. You can't be so lost into indoctrinations, because the more and more you get lost into biases and indoctrinations, the less and less that you're gonna actually be able to comprehend and understand the actual experience that's going on in front of you. And if you're not into things like astrology, if you're not into things like metaphysics and science and things of those natures, I'll say it'll be a good starting point to really kind of get into those things and kind of dive deeper more into those types of mechanisms and learning things, so that you can kind of raise your comprehension, so that you won't be so much of a low-hanging fruit. But it's going to take you having to actually wanting to and willing to learn, and wanting to and willing to better yourself mentally. Because keep in mind that it all starts with the mind, and wherever the mind goes, the body follows. So if you could kind of direct and redirect your mind into a space that deals with expansion, because that's all you're going to be doing is expanding. The more knowledge and information that you can take, the more expansion that you will be able to endure. So the more that you can expand, the better that you'll be able to be a representation for other people in spirits and bodies, to kind of lead them down a path of expanding. And that's going to be you just helping all possibilities in the God expand the universe. And that's what we're really here to do, is expand the universe. Because nobody don't want to be playing our energies of being in a limited routine or pattern all the time, because that turns into a hell eventually. And if nobody don't have the right way of going about how to get out of that hell, then the spirit may create a catastrophic event to get itself out of that hell or that routine or pattern. But there's always better ways that you can go about that energy. So just learning about life, learning about astrology, and just knowing, just kind of separating the word astrology and just replacing it with the mechanisms of life. Because that's all that's really happening. That's just the mechanism of life. That's what we're really just experiencing on the instant, on a simultaneous basis. It's like you can just walk outside and you're breathing in the air, and that's astrology, just breathing in the air, going outside. So you got to kind of separate from the cookie cutter and the biases and the baggage that people put on astrology, and just kind of making it simple. It's simple once you understand it on an esoteric level, But the way that humans try to use it and make it all about, oh, what's your sun sign, what's your moon sign, oh, you this type of person, you play out those. That's true sometimes, but that's still holding a bias with it because you're actually limiting yourself from fully understanding the energy and the alchemy and the mixture of the energies of what's playing out as above and how that's correlated and corresponding as below. So, just letting God shape you is kind of being able to align yourself with the universal laws and principles and understanding how the seasonal transitions is happening and what's the right time to do things and what's the right time to separate from things. So say for instance that we're going through springtime. So springtime, that energy as above always kind of brings a nature as below of, we start to see things blossom, we start to see life, we start to see things giving birth to things. So we start to see the birth. So that'll be a good time as below when you start to plant seeds, ideas, and start to give them that good emotional water, understanding the moon phases, understanding the sun phases, that'll be your seed in the development and the process that your seed needs in order to be able to blossom and become a flower or a tree. But the moon is going to be the emotional water and the nutrients and the nurturing that you give to that seed. So understanding the sun phases, how the seed works, how to align and adjust the seed, and the moon phases, what you need to be emotionally connected to in order to see that seed become flourish, in order to see that seed flourish into fulfillment. And then just understanding those two properties, understanding those properties with the sun and the moon, and understanding how your alignments, how your micro astrology kind of correlates with the macro astrology as above, that can kind of help you understand where you may be flunked out in some areas or where you may need to adjust some areas or some areas of life that these energies are you're participating with. So that'll kind of help you understand those properties as well. So, just understanding these energies and understanding what's the right time to plant seeds, what's the right time to go outside, what's the right time to interact with the world. This can also save your life as well because you will know that whenever it's a full moon outside, that's not a good time to actually be in going out and just participating with the world based upon some unfulfilled desire that you have, because emotions and feelings are going to be at its all-time high. So people may act out of nature. People may act out of their nature and might not just know it just because it's a full moon. So you may just go outside looking for, try to fulfill this desire because you've been planting the wrong season, you unfulfilled, and you may end up getting yourself killed. So you got to be careful when it comes to those energies as well. So people got to start taking this type of information serious if you want to actually see a shift in humanity and a shift in your life. So this is how all possibilities and gods and goddesses in the universe will be able to work with you and work with you through things, and you can kind of separate yourself from being in that victim mentality and just thinking that things isn't working for you or against you. But end of the day, that's just self-serving energies. You may just be lost into your self-serving energy. So we got to make sure that we're not lost into our self-serving energies as well, because that's the reason that things are the way they are and we're in the conditions that we're in, because we have people lost into their self-serving energies and don't want to see nobody kind of shining or doing good down here in this 1, 2, and 3rd dimension. So that's why we have to go through the extreme and go to the extreme measures in order just to get some form of liberation and restoration that we may never get, because ain't nobody kind of claiming their power. And the people that are claiming their power, they don't really give a rat's butt about people like us in the world, because they're just looking at us like low-hanging fruit or the coming sheep, or people that just lost into their templates that they created to keep our mental governed, aka the government, to govern our mental. So the better we can kind of understand these types of this types of this type of information, the better we can govern our own mental, because this is what we're here to do. And that's our power, being able to make up our own mind. We need to be able to make up our own mind and not let individuals that don't even know how to make up their own mind come to conclusions to make up our mind for us, because that's the start of religion, that's the start of Christianity, that's the start of Islam, that's the start of wars and things of those natures that they can kind of dangle in front of us and kind of absorb our energy to get a reactionary and responses to see where they need to steer society in a certain direction. So we need to be mindful of those energies as well when it comes to us just freely and willingly to give our power back because we need something to cope with, because we need a mental crutch, because we feel more comfortable being limited in the mental cage and governed under a system that doesn't give a fuck about us. So we got to make sure that we are, being aware of our own energy and coming to the conclusion that, you know what, I'm gonna learn these things. I'm gonna learn these things for myself, so I can be able to govern my own mind, so I can have my own esoteric form, so I can be my own, you know, creator, because that's what we are. We are the creator, not the creation. So we get so lost in being the creation that we forget that we are the creator. So we got to make sure that we are understanding those types of properties and understand those types of energies as well, and this can kind of help us put ourselves in a better magnitude, in a better position when it comes to evolving humanity and this actual existence, so we can be able to reach another atmosphere and start to, become gods and goddesses there. But that's a whole different video. But yeah, it's been Hula 360, and this is how you go outside and let God shape you. And you don't have to work out or need so many, have to go to Planet Fitness 24/7 or need so many things externally, because it's all start with your internal. The better that you can be able to understand your internal natures, that'll be the better you will be able to, you know, maneuver within the external world. So this is all about letting God shape you by just, understanding these things. But yeah, it's me, Hula 360. Hope I enjoyed the video. Peace.